The curious mistake. The alien fleet drifted through the cold darkness of space. Their ships were built with elegance, long silver hulls lined with glowing symbols that pulsed like living veins. To the alien high command, every star system was a puzzle to be solved, every unknown technology a prize to be claimed, and when their scouts first caught sight of the strange human warship, they thought they had found something weak, something easy to study. The human ship floated silent, alone in the emptiness. Its dark hull reflected no light. To alien eyes it looked ancient, slow, and unprotected. It did not shine with energy fields, nor broadcast warnings of power. It was quiet, too quiet, and to the aliens, quiet meant fragile. The alien commander, a tall figure wrapped in a cloak of shimmering scales, gave the order. "Bring it in. We will examine this human relic. Perhaps they have left us scraps from their primitive wars." The fleet obeyed. Tractor beams reached out like glowing chains, wrapping around the silent warship. The aliens laughed among themselves, confident this primitive relic would soon be under their control. They dreamed of taking it apart piece by piece, learning its secrets and showing the galaxy how weak humans really were. But inside that human ship, it was not silence. It was waiting. The watching crew behind armored walls and hidden layers of steel, the human crew sat in silence. They watched as the aliens pulled their warship closer. No one spoke. No one needed to. They had seen this before. Races who thought humanity was weak, who believed silence meant fear. They were wrong then, and they were wrong now. At the center of the ship, the captain sat in a steel chair, his hand resting near the command console. His face was calm, his eyes cold. He did not rush. He did not panic. He waited for the right moment. Around him, the crew worked quietly. Fingers tapped across control panels. Voices whispered coded confirmations. Every move was measured. Every second was planned. The warship was not helpless. It was a predator disguised as prey. The alien hubris. The alien fleet began transmitting signals, scanning the human vessel. They probed its hull, searched for power signatures, looked for signs of life. But every scan returned the same, silence. They could not detect engines, weapons, or shields. To them, the warship was nothing but a floating coffin. "Pathetic," the alien commander muttered. "This is what humans call warships? Empty metal. Dead machines. We will drag it to our docks and strip it apart. Nothing more." The crew of the alien fleet relaxed, their weapons powered down. Some even began preparing research pods and surgical drones. They thought the hunt was over before it even began. But they had forgotten the oldest rule of survival in the galaxy. Never underestimate a quiet human ship. The first stirring, inside the human warship, the captain finally raised his hand. His voice was calm, steady, and every crew member heard it through the comms. "They want to study us. Let them study this." He pressed the command key. The silent ship awakened, panels along its hull lit with a faint glow, like the eyes of a predator opening in the dark. Energy surged through hidden veins of steel, shields flared alive, and weapons that had been concealed deep within the ship's frame unfolded like claws. The alien fleet froze. Their scanners screamed with sudden warnings. The dead relic they had pulled in was not dead. It was alive, armed, and watching them the entire time. The trap closes. The aliens scrambled. Weapon systems powered up across their ships. Orders were shouted in panic. But it was too late. They had pulled the human warship too close into the heart of their formation. They had given the humans the perfect shot. The captain's eyes narrowed. His crew waited for the signal. Fire. A storm of light erupted from the human warship. Beams of energy tore through the void, slicing alien hulls apart. Missiles screamed through the black, finding their marks with precision. Alien ships exploded one by one, their silver hulls shattering under the relentless assault. The laughter that had filled their command deck was gone now, replaced with screams and silence. The silent predator when the storm ended. The battlefield was filled with drifting wreckage, fire and debris scattered across the void. The human warship floated in the center, its black hull unbroken, its silence more terrifying than before. Not a single alien vessel remained whole. The survivors who managed to flee would tell the story across the stars. The humans were not weak. Their ships were not relics. They were predators in disguise, and those who survived would never again dare to examine a human warship. The shadows remember. The wreckage drifted silently, scattered across the void like broken bones. But silence did not mean the end. From the ruins of the alien fleet, fragments of transmissions raced outward, bouncing between hidden relay stations, carrying a single message across the stars. Do not approach human warships. They are not what they seem. The message reached the alien High Council within days. It was played before rulers, scientists, and generals. At first, some scoffed. Impossible, they said. One vessel cannot destroy an entire fleet. But the evidence was undeniable. Wreckage fields, survivors' testimonies, and the cold absence of their proud ships all pointed to one truth. Humans had outplayed them. The council divided. The alien High Council was split. Some demanded caution. They argued that humans were a threat unlike any other, one that should never be provoked again. But others, fiercer, prouder, refused to bow to fear. They are few, one general declared. They hide behind tricks and illusions. If we strike with true power, we will show them their place in the galaxy. Plans of retaliation began to form. Massive fleets were prepared. Weapons of unimaginable scale brought out of hidden vaults. But before they could march, they needed answers. They had to know how one human ship had done the impossible. Thus, they sent their spies into the void. The human calmback aboard the human warship, the crew carried out their duties with quiet precision. The captain moved among them, his step steady, his voice measured. He knew the battle was over, but not the war. The aliens would not forget, and neither would humanity. Scans? He asked. Clear, came the reply. No pursuit within range. But the crew knew better than to trust empty space. They understood the galaxy well enough. Silence was always temporary. Someone was always watching. And indeed, in the darkness far beyond their sensors, alien probes lurked, small machines cloaked in shadow. They tracked every movement, recorded every signal, desperate to learn the secrets hidden inside the warship's steel heart. But what they saw only deepened the mystery. The hidden core. The warship was not like others. Its heart was unlike any alien design, pulsing with a controlled storm of energy. What little the spies recorded baffled their scientists. The power core seemed to twist space around it, bending reality in ways they could not explain. One alien scientist whispered in awe, "It is not just a weapon. It is something else, something they should not have." But the council dismissed the warnings. They wanted results, not riddles. They ordered the scientist to uncover the secret or face silence. The scientist obeyed, but in his private logs, he wrote words that chilled him even as he typed them. Humans are not building ships to fight wars. They are building ships to end them, the unseen watchers. The human crew sensed the probes long before the aliens realized they'd been detected. The captain stood before the main display, watching faint distortions in the void. "They're studying us," one officer muttered. "Good," the captain replied, his voice like iron. "Let them." He keyed in a sequence. A ripple of invisible energy swept outward from the warship, gentle and silent. To the probes, it was like nothing at first, just a whisper of static. But then their systems began to fail. Circuits burned. Memory banks collapsed. One by one, they fell dark, vanishing into the void. The captain spoke again, almost to himself. "Examine us all you want, but you'll never leave with the truth." The gathering storm far across the stars, the alien council prepared. Despite the failure of their probes, they gathered fleets larger than ever before. Their pride demanded blood, their fear demanded answers. They swore that the next encounter would not be like the last, but they had not yet understood what humanity truly was. The warship drifted forward, silent and steady, its crew unbroken, its purpose clear. The galaxy might have thought humans were prey, but in the dark silence between stars, the hunters had already chosen their ground, and those who still dreamed of examining a human warship were walking straight into the jaws of something they could never control. The Council's challenge, the alien armada assembled across the stars. Row upon row of colossal warships stretched like a wall of fire, their cannons glowing, their banners of war raised high. Never before had they united in such numbers. Dozens of species, once divided, now stood together under one command, for all of them had heard the same story. One human warship had humiliated them, and humiliation was something the Council would not forgive. The alien commanders swore before their gathered fleets, We will tear open this human vessel. We will expose their secrets. We will remind the galaxy who rules. But in their fury, they had already made their mistake. They thought the humans were still playing by the same rules of war the galaxy had known for centuries. The human stillness far away, the lone human warship floated in the shadow of a dead star. The crew received fragments of enemy transmissions, threats, boasts, declarations of vengeance. The officers listened in silence, but none of them laughed. The captain stood at the central display. Before him, a star chart glowed, showing the sheer size of the alien armada. It was overwhelming. Too many ships, too many guns, too much fury, and yet his eyes were calm. Numbers, he said softly, are not strength. They are only noise, the crew nodded. They had trained for this. Every corridor, every console, every breath aboard the warship existed for one purpose: survival through victory. The unseen weapon deep in the heart of the warship. Beyond layers of armored doors lay a chamber no alien had ever imagined. It pulsed with a quiet, steady hum. The humans called it the core. It was not just an engine. It was a weapon born of desperation, of survival, of lessons learned in centuries of war. It did not fire lasers or launch missiles. It did something far older, far more terrifying. It bent reality itself. When activated, it turned distance into weakness, numbers into nothing, and enemies into shadows. Few outside the highest ranks of human command even knew it existed, and those who did called it by a single name: the Silence. The first encounter, the alien fleet arrived in the system like a tidal wave. Dozens of massive carriers and cruisers emerged from hyperspace, weapons charged and ready. They spread across the void, their scanners sweeping for the lone human ship. When they found it, drifting near the dark star, motionless and quiet, they laughed again. "There it is," the alien commander sneered. "The phantom that destroyed our fleet. Look at it now." One against thousands, orders rippled through the formation. Ships moved into attack positions, forming a vast circle around the human warship. Missiles were loaded, cannons glowed bright, targeting systems locked on. The commander raised his claw. "Examine it. Break it open. Leave nothing behind." The silent response inside the human ship, alarms echoed. Enemy signatures surrounded them, closing fast. The crew sat at their stations, hands steady, waiting for the signal. The captain's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Activate the core." The ship stirred. The lights dimmed, then flared with an unnatural glow. Space itself seemed to ripple around the hull. Sensors crackled. Time felt heavier, and the silence of the void deepened into something unnatural, something alive. The crew braced themselves. They had seen the core's power before, and even they feared it. The captain raised his hand. "Let them learn." The fall of thousands, the alien commander gave the order to fire. A storm of energy surged toward the human warship. Beams, missiles, plasma bolts, enough firepower to erase a small moon. But as the weapons neared their target, they vanished. Not exploded, not deflected. Vanished, swallowed by nothingness. Confusion spread. Alien officers screamed into their comms. "Our weapons are gone." "The sensors, nothing, there's nothing." Then it began. The core pulsed. One alien ship simply ceased to exist. No explosion, no wreckage, just gone. Another followed, then another. The fleet panicked, ships breaking formation, commanders shouting. But the more they fired, the faster they fell. From the human ship, no shots were seen. No beams, no missiles. The warship did not move. It simply waited, and the core erased its enemies one by one. Terror in the void. In minutes, the mighty alien armada crumbled. Thousands of ships reduced to drifting fragments, or erased without a trace. The survivors fled, abandoning their allies, desperate to escape the unseen force that devoured them. The alien commander, trembling in disbelief, gave the final order: "Retreat. Retreat at once. This is no warship. This is death itself." And as his fleet limped away, broken and humiliated, the lone human ship drifted forward, still silent, still calm. The captain closed his eyes. He knew the war was far from over. The aliens would return. But now they no longer sought to examine humanity. Now they feared it. The galaxy trembles. The galaxy had always believed it understood war. Fleets clashed, empires rose, alliances shifted, and battles ended in victory or defeat. But after the destruction of the alien armada, those rules no longer seemed true. Whispers spread faster than light. Traders carried stories from system to system. Survivors spoke in hushed voices, their eyes haunted. And everywhere across the countless worlds, one phrase repeated again and again. Do not provoke the humans. Their warships do not fight, they erase. The council in panic in the grand halls of the alien High Council, chaos reigned. The surviving generals shouted at one another, their pride shattered, their confidence gone. We lost thousands, one cried. Entire fleets gone without a trace. It was a weapon, another barked. Something unnatural, something forbidden. But the truth none of them could speak aloud weighed heavier than any words. Humanity had shown them something far beyond war. It was a power that mocked their numbers, their technology, their arrogance. For the first time in their history, the Council was afraid. The neutrals choose. Not all species in the galaxy belonged to the Council. Many smaller civilizations watched from the sidelines, careful not to anger the great powers. But now those same neutral worlds began asking questions. Should they ally with the Council or with the humans? Some saw opportunity. If humanity was as powerful as the stories claimed, then siding with them might ensure safety and prosperity. Others feared that standing too close to humanity was just as dangerous. If their warships could erase entire fleets, what would stop them from erasing anyone else? The galaxy divided, uncertain and trembling. Inside the human warship aboard the silent warship, the crew worked with discipline. They did not celebrate. They did not boast. The core was powerful, yes, but it was also dangerous. Each time it was activated, it strained the ship, strained reality itself. It was not a weapon to be used without cost. In the strategy chamber, the captain studied a map of the stars. Dozens of enemy fleets had been broken, but the Council still had more ships, more worlds, more arrogance. And soon, they would bring out weapons even darker, desperate to match what they did not understand. The captain turned to his officers. Prepare the fleet. For the humans had never truly fought alone. That single warship was not their only blade. Across distant star systems, others waited, cloaked in silence, ready to strike if called. The alien desperation. The High Council, driven by fear, summoned its scientists. They demanded a countermeasure to the human core. Labs burned with frantic experiments, reverse engineering fragments of human wreckage, testing unstable weapons, tearing open forbidden energy sources. One scientist, trembling, spoke before the rulers. We do not understand it. The humans have bent the laws of space itself. If we push further, we may destroy more than them. We may destroy ourselves, but the Council would not listen. Pride was a poison they could not resist. They vowed that they would capture a human ship, alive and intact, no matter the cost. And so, in the shadows of space, they built a trap. A weapon not of fire, but of gravity. A cage of collapsing stars meant to hold even the impossible. The looming choice. The galaxy now stood at the edge of something greater than war. Entire civilizations debated in their councils and forums. Should they resist the humans? Should they beg for alliance? Or should they hide, hoping never to be noticed? And through it all, the humans moved silently, never revealing their numbers, never explaining their technology. The warship drifted on, its captain's eyes fixed on the stars ahead. He knew what the aliens were planning. He knew they would come again. And he knew the next battle would decide not just fleets, not just empires, but the future of the entire galaxy. For when humans made war, it was never to fight. It was to end. The last lesson, the trap was set. Near the edge of a dying galaxy arm, the Alien Council constructed their greatest weapon, a cage of gravity, built from collapsing stars chained together by titanic machines, space twisted and cracked within its field, a prison designed to hold even the impossible. The Council's fleets gathered around it, millions of ships strong. They were silent now, no laughter, no arrogance. Fear had taught them respect. But still they hungered for vengeance. If they could capture the human warship alive, they believed they could unravel its secrets, tame its core, and wield that power for themselves. The order was given. The trap was baited. The human ship was lured into the system, drawn by false signals of distress, and the galaxy watched. The trap springs as the human warship entered the system. The gravity cage snapped shut. Stars bent inward, space itself screaming under the pressure. The warship was locked in place, pinned like an insect under glass. Alien commanders shouted in triumph. We have it. Fire suppression beams. Disable the core. 1,000 weapons rained down, striking the warship's hull. Shields rippled. Armor groaned. For the first time, the human ship trembled. The council believed victory was finally theirs. The calm. Within, inside the human ship, the crew worked without panic. Sparks rained from consoles, alarms echoed, but their voices were steady. "The cage is holding," one officer reported. The captain stood tall, hands clasped behind his back. His eyes burned with quiet fire. "They think they've trapped us. They don't understand." Another officer turned, her voice urgent. "Captain, if we activate the core under this pressure, the results—" "I know," he interrupted. His gaze never left the display. "But this is the lesson they must learn." The core unleashed, the captain gave the order. The core ignited. At first it was a pulse, gentle, almost soft. Then space itself tore open. The gravity cage twisted, unable to contain the storm. The collapsing stars that powered it screamed as their orbits shattered. Reality bent, broke, and collapsed inward. The alien fleets fired desperately, but their weapons were swallowed whole. The cage meant to imprison the human ship became a noose around its creators' necks. One by one, alien vessels vanished, not in fire, but in silence, erased, as though they had never existed. The cage cracked apart, its fragments falling into the abyss. At the center of it all, the human warship floated untouched. The trap collapsed into itself. Entire fleets, entire worlds tethered to the cage's power were pulled into nothingness. The Council's proud weapon became their own destruction. Only a handful of ships survived, crippled, broken, fleeing into the dark. Their commanders, trembling, whispered the truth into their comms. "Do not chase them. Do not study them. Do not provoke them. Humans are not conquerors. They are endings." The message to the stars when the battle was over. The human captain stood before his crew. His voice was steady, his words heavy. "They wanted to examine us. Now they know. Let this be the last time they test humanity's silence." And so the warship drifted on, vanishing into the void once more. It carried no flag, no boast, no warning, only the silence that had become its greatest weapon. Across the galaxy, stories spread like wildfire. To some, the humans were monsters. To others, saviors. But all agreed on one truth. Those who tried to examine a human warship never made that mistake again.